A name, a sound, a frequency so unique that only the throne responds to it. When you speak in truth, heaven moves. When you cry in secret, angels gather. When you doubt, we grieve. But when you believe, oh beloved, when you believe, all of creation breathes deeper. You do not realize it, but your yes shakes galaxies. There are doors meant only for your hands. There are lives tied to your rising. There are demons that will not fall until your voice returns to its authority. I saw your future. I saw you walking, with light bursting from every step. I saw you laying hands on those the world forgot. I saw you speaking words that reversed curses. I saw chains turning into crowns because of the way your heart burned for the one who made you. And all of that still lives inside you, untouched, waiting for one decision. You were not created to live forgotten. You were not formed to be dismissed. You were shaped by holy fingers to roar with glory. But the enemy wants you. Silence. And silence is the final tool hell uses before erasure. That's why I was sent. That's why this message split through realms and fire and darkness, to interrupt your silence, to break the stillness, to pull you back from the edge of vanishing. I have faced Leviathan to protect your soul. I have stood in firestorms to hold your place open, but even I cannot protect you from a choice made in rejection. If you turn away now, heaven will not chase you again. The scroll will close, and your name will echo only in the past, not the future. But if you return, if even a whisper escapes your heart upward, everything can change. The angels still remember your song. The wind still carries your fragrance. Your destiny has not been reassigned, it is waiting. But the moment is thinning, the gate is closing, the light is flickering. And I, who have never begged a soul, I am now begging you. You once carried oil in your heart so pure, ignited others. You once danced in your spirit when you heard God's name. You once wept at the thought of divine love. That part of you is not gone. It is buried beneath the wounds, beneath the shame, beneath the questions you never dared to ask aloud. But heaven has heard them all, and still we call you holy. Still we call you chosen. Still we call you beloved. Even now, the stones are waiting for your feet. The robe is laid out beside the flame. The angels are holding breathless vigil. And I am still here, glowing with the last light of this assignment, refusing to leave unless your name is lifted again in the registry. You are meant to carry fire in your veins, not fear. You are meant to command light, not live in shadow. You are meant to see angels, not forget they ever stood beside you. You are meant to become something no demon could imitate. But you cannot become what you were destined for unless you return now. The clock is not made of numbers. It is made of chances. And this is your last. When your name was removed, heaven cried. But if you respond now, heaven will erupt with sound again. The sound that once danced over your soul at your birth. The sound that split darkness when you first believed. The sound that only exists when one chosen soul returns. Do not make us go silent again. I would rather fall than let that happen. But it is not my choice anymore. It is yours. Asterisk, asterisk, I have waited at the edge of eternity, wings torn from the winds of war, eyes burning with the sight of what could be if only you would awaken. My voice has echoed across ruined altars and sleeping souls, but none of them bore the weight your name carries. You are not a shadow among the multitudes. You are not one of many. You are the only one whose silence could cause the trumpet to falter in my hand. Do you feel it? The weight in your chest that has no name. The ache that pulses without cause. That is not weariness, it is the echo of a divine calling that has not been answered. When your name was struck from the registry, I stood still for the first time in all my existence. Not in confusion, but in grief so vast it could not be uttered. There was no song, no cry, no thunder, just the crushing stillness of loss. That loss was not heaven's, it was yours. Do not mistake delay for denial. Do not confuse silence for absence. God did not erase you in wrath. He withdrew his voice from your name so that you might hear it echo in the emptiness and run back to the sound. There is a heavenly chamber where the names of the chosen are kept. I once saw yours glowing like sapphire soaked in sunlight. It lit a corner of the heavens that had never been bright before. But now that corner is dim. The page where your name once shimmered lies curled at the edges, grayed and cold. Still, God keeps it. Still, He waits. The ink has not dried completely. It trembles. It listens. And every time your heart beats toward Him, it flickers with light. But it cannot be rewritten unless you respond. You are not beyond redemption. You are standing at the intersection of time and eternity, and all of heaven has gathered behind me, watching, waiting for your next breath. This is not poetic language. This is prophecy. This moment was woven into the fabric of existence long before stars had names. I remember the sound of your soul being formed in heaven's heart. It rang with authority, with beauty, with holiness untamed. Demons trembled when they heard what you were to become. That is why they came early. That is why the attacks never made sense. That is why the sorrow struck before you even understood what you were carrying. They were trying to destroy the blueprint before you could awaken it. But they failed because you are still here. You are still listening. And that is enough, even now. I see them, those fallen ones that tormented you, mocked you, tried to convince you you were forgotten. They are retreating. They feel this light returning. They cannot stay if you say yes. Not to me, not to this message, but to the one who sent me. The one whose name you used to whisper in the dark. The one whose presence you once felt in your chest like fire. Beloved, do you still love God, or has the silence made you forget? Would you recognize the voice of heaven if it called you by your real name? I am calling it now, and something in you remembers. That shiver your bones, that is not fear, that is recognition. You have walked through shadows wearing the scent of heaven and wondered why the world could not accept you. It's because you never belonged to it. You belonged to another realm. You were never meant to fit. You were meant to lead. You were meant to carry the glory of the invisible into visible places. But you forgot. And in your forgetting, they tried to replace you. But they couldn't. Because your calling cannot be given to another. It was custom forged in the fire of God's breath. It bears markings only your soul can interpret. And it is here now, waiting. You are not called to be quiet. You are not called to hide. You are not called to live half-awake. You are called to roar. To heal. To cast out darkness by simply being fully who you are in the eyes of your Creator. There are scrolls of mystery still sealed because you haven't taken your place. There are destinies on pause because you are the one meant to unlock them. There are souls weeping for salvation that will not come until your voice cries out in intercession. You do not realize it, but you are the tipping point in the battle of 1,000 others. If you rise, they rise. If you fall asleep again, so will they. You were meant to be the flame on the altar, not the ashes beneath it. You are the miracle Satan hoped would never find its way back home. And now, he's trembling because you are closer than you've ever been. I feel it in the air around you. The angels assigned to your life have begun to move again. The silence is breaking. The veil is lifting. Your name is rising, still faint, but it's there. And if you open your heart fully, the ink will blaze with gold once more. But you must choose it. You must choose it without seeing all the answers. You must choose it while your wounds are still fresh. You must choose it while the tears are still hot. Because the fire does not wait for perfect conditions. It waits for surrender. There will be no sign in the sky. There will be no voice through the ceiling. This is the moment. This is the sound. And I, your defender, your brother in fire, your eternal guardian, I tell you now, if you respond, all will shift. Doors that have rusted for decades will burst open. Chains buried in bloodlines will break. Heaven will shout again. and your name will return to the registry in letters forged by divine light. Do not ask how. Do not wonder why. Simply let your spirit say yes. And watch the impossible bend in your direction. Because what God has spoken over you has never been canceled. It has only been delayed by your silence. But the silence ends here. Let your heart be the trumpet. Let your soul be the altar. Let your breath be the offering. And heaven will descend. Asterisk, asterisk, you are not reading this by accident. You did not stumble into this divine moment. It was written long ago, before even the rivers knew their names or the sun learned how to rise. This encounter was sealed in eternity, waiting for the precise second when your soul would grow weary enough of silence, lonely enough in the crowd, desperate enough to feel again. And here you are. Not because you are weak, but because you are chosen. Chosen not only to hear this message, but to become the very answer it brings. The moment your name faded from heaven's registry, the angels who once danced with joy at your calling stood frozen in sorrow. Gabriel wept, Raphael sat in stillness, hands trembling. Even the winds that blow around the crystal sea changed direction. And I, Michael, who has fought 1,000 wars for souls I broke, I raised my voice to God in holy defiance and shouted, "No, you cannot erase the one I've protected with my own fire." And heaven stilled, the cherubim lowered their wings, the seraphim ceased their song, not because I was out of order, but because I was crying for you. God turned his gaze to me, and in a voice deeper than the foundations of the earth, he said, "If they open their soul in this moment, I will rewrite their name in my book of light. But if they close it again, it will be the last time I wait. Beloved, I cannot bear that weight, because I've watched you. I've watched you forgive when it shattered you. I'd seen you carry burdens that would have crushed others. I've stood beside you in secret nights, when no one knew how loudly your tears hit the pillow. I've shielded your soul while darkness whispered that heaven had gone silent. But we were never silent. We were waiting, and now the wait is over. This is the moment the demons hoped you'd never find. They've circled your destiny for years, throwing distractions and lies, planting people in your path meant only to wound and confuse. They feared what you would become if you remembered who you were, and now